Hey guys, hope you're having a great day. I figured today I would give a houseplant tour, just to kind of like give an idea of like what types of plants that it is that I'm taking care of right now, and especially during the winter time, I'm focusing more on houseplants than I am on obviously anything outside. Especially right now, actually, there's like a foot of snow on the ground, so I can't really do anything outside now, anyways. But yeah. I'll just kind of take you around the house. Now, one thing that I do want to say is this is going to be a part one of two. And the reason why is because my parents live at two different houses, so I have two different basically sets of houseplants, which is kind of great in that sense where I have like two different chances of growing things, if that makes sense. So, I'm at my mom's house now, so I'll go around, show you everything, just kind of talk about the different plants a little bit, maybe like when I got them, what types of plants they are, and I don't know absolutely everything, but I'll just kind of give as much information as I can give, and also what would be necessary. So let's go. So starting off in my bedroom, I think it was the last video that I posted, I just transplanted this. So this is a Christmas cactus, I believe it is anyways. It has some red buds on it, or not red buds, it gets red flowers. I don't think there's any buds on it anywhere. Not right now. There was like one flower, but like I was saying in the last video, this doesn't get nearly enough sun. So it's just kind of there temporarily, but maybe I'll come up with another one. And then if I pan to the other side of my bedroom, there's this plant. And again, I don't know the exact name of it. If I find what the names of them are, then I can link them down below. Probably should have looked ahead of time. But it's a really, really nice plant because the front of it, the leaves are like a nice green, like a deep green with like a nice silver in them. I think you can see that pretty well. And then the back side of them is like a nice deep purple color. So this is a north-facing window, but it gets enough indirect sunlight where it does pretty well because this plant wants to get like a good medium to bright light. Still can do okay in low sunlight, but definitely it wants the better sunlight. So when you're looking at it from this angle, it's definitely a lot more purple. But if I grab this pot and I turn it around, how it's facing towards the window is definitely a lot more green. So this plant is also really cool because it propagates super, super easily. I might do a video on it sometime actually, because that would be really nice to kind of just show people how to do it. But it grows super fast and it's just a really nice like hanging pot. All right, so now I'm in my mom's bedroom and this plant is a bird of paradise. It doesn't look super happy. This has kind of struggled quite a bit. Now, what's surprising is that these two windows are actually all south facing. So this does get quite a bit of sunlight, but this plant, I don't know, like it looks pretty good on some of the leaves. This is like one of the newer leaves that was growing. But then I remember maybe like a month ago, there was some stuff going on where this leaf, like you can see that's actually dead there and kind of like spotted. So it's all right. But then also, I think it was in the fall, just gonna walk around this way, I got a second bird of paradise just to kind of fill it in and make this look a little more full. Um, it's not the best looking plant, but my mom really doesn't want to get rid of it, so it's in here for now. This next plant is another Christmas cactus, and this plant is actually really, really cool because it's actually the same plant as the one that I had in my bedroom. Because that one I just like picked off some, just like a few of these like little ends of the cactus and then I replanted them. But this plant is really cool because for honestly, I don't even know how long at this point, it's probably been almost a year, it just continuously blooms. Now, they're called a Christmas cactus for a reason, because they'll get these beautiful, beautiful flowers around Christmas time. And I think it did that like the first year that I got this. But then I think because, again, another two south-facing windows, in fact, let me give you a better angle, two south-facing windows right there, this plant does super, super well because it gets direct sunlight, not even indirect, but it gets actual sunbeams on it for a good portion of the day. And you can see just how many flowers are on it, and also my cat, Freddy. You can see him right there. But yeah, it does super, super well. And like I was saying, these are absolutely gorgeous blooms. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much consistently had them on here the whole time. All right, and then this whole area, I'll kind of pan out for a second so you can see it. This is where I have the majority of my houseplants because we have this slider right here. Again, all south facing because it's right next to the window over there. But it gets a lot of sun, so a lot of these plants do super well here. So I'll kind of just go from left to right, and I'm working with the light that I have. You can see the sun has kind of already went down for the day. But anyways, so first of all, this is one of the other plants that I repotted. This is the ficus that I have. I just did it earlier this week, and it's doing fine. Doesn't really look any different, but I'm sure in the next few weeks it'll do well. So we got this plant. Behind it, This is actually probably one of my favorite plants. So I don't know if there's a particular name for this, but I do know that it's an orchid. And as you can see the color here, now I don't have the best lighting like I said, but this is like a nice orangey color, like a bright orange color. You can see that there's one stem right here, another stem here, and then there's a third growing stem, or whatever you want to call it, growing spike maybe. There's 3 of them in there in total. So this one is just about to open, and these 2 did just open. Now what's awesome about this plant is that I got this in January of 2020, so a little over a year ago. And this is its 2nd bloom cycle that it's had. Now, I watched a video from Miss Orchid Girl. I think that's what the YouTube channel was. I'll try to find the video down below if you're interested in taking care of orchids better, because that's how I found out. But basically what happened was these 2 blooming stems, I guess that's what I'm going to call them, these 2 were already here. And like when I got the plant, because I actually got it for like a show that I did, one of the plays that we did at my school. So instead of getting, like my family, a lot of times, instead of them giving me a bouquet of flowers, they like to give me like a legitimate plant. So anyways, there was these 2 growing stems, or blooming stems, whatever you want to call them. Anyways, and so they bloomed for a few months, I would say. In fact, I think it was this stem, it had a couple of blooms on it till like May or June. It was a long time. It had like a good like 4 or 5 months of blooms. But then once all the blooms died, I found out that because this is where the top of the stem was, right here. So I found out if you cut it to a certain length, you cut it a few down, I guess, it actually might rebloom, and you can see that's exactly what it did. And then that stem started to grow as well. So anyways, that's with the orchid. I could talk more about it too. I could kind of ramble on for a while, but anyways, so you got that. Then we have, this is just a jade plant. And then let me just quickly show behind it. I'm not going to go super close in, but you can see that's another type of succulent. I don't know, I think it's not an echeveria, but something similar to it anyways. This one and this were actually both in this pot together, and there was a 3rd succulent in here. But the 3rd succulent died shortly after I got it. I believe I got this actually when I got the orchid. I got them for the same show that I did. So the 3rd one died, and then these 2 did fine for a long time. But what happened was, this one was starting to get kind of leggy, so I needed to kind of fix it. And then this was starting to get really big, so I ended up repotting this to like the center of the pot, and you can see that it takes it up really, really well. But yeah, they're doing really well on their own, especially because they get so much light. But yeah, definitely some of my favorite succulents, especially because I've had them for a good amount of time, probably a little over a year now. Now, next is this cactus. I don't really have a super great angle of looking at it. But anyways, you can see that cactus right there. Now, there's that one, and then there's this one over here. They're the same cactus, but what happened was, this is actually the top of the other cactus, and it broke off right at the bottom there. So what I did was, I tried to, I just repotted it back in there, and they both started to grow really well. And they've been doing super, super well since then. Most of this is new growth from when I got it. And I think I got it in 2019. Sorry if the camera's kind of shaky. I'm holding it with one hand. I think I got this one in 2019. Same with the other one. So they grow slowly, but they've been making their way through. Next, we'll go back over to this area. You can see this. This is probably going to look pretty familiar. This is a fiddle leaf fig. And it's been doing pretty well, except for lately. I repotted it into a larger pot once because it was getting super root bound and it was drying out super fast. But I think I let it dry out too much one time, and you can kind of see right there. Again, I really wish I had some more light. It's getting a bunch of brown spots, which I read are actually all dead cells that you can see, which is so sad. But besides that, it's doing pretty well. I got it pretty small, and it's been putting on a few leaves. Like every once in a while. Like it's probably put on a total of maybe like 8 leaves or something since I got it in the summer, I want to say. I've had this for maybe like 7 or 8 months, so it's doing well. But it's just kind of a slow grower. Now, I have these 2 cacti, which they are 2 different types, but I think they're very similar, just 2 different varieties. These are really interesting cacti that typically have leaves on them. This one I actually got from a friend, and you can see that it's got some leaves starting to grow on it, and I think that's because the location that it was when I got it compared to where it is now, it gets a lot more sun now, and I've been watering it a little more often, so I think it's going to be putting on some more growth. And then this one I got at a nursery this past summer, just because I really, really love like the shape and the structure of it, and it had a bunch of leaves on it, but I actually think I let it dry out too much. I think that's the biggest thing that I deal with, and I feel like what other people maybe deal with as well, but I can't really speak for everybody else. But I feel like succulents need a lot more water than we think. You know what I mean? Even though they can tolerate more like drought, I guess, or drier conditions, I think they like warmer water. So anyways, we got this cactus right here. It's doing super, super well, but you can kind of see, especially down here, it has a little more like a purplish color to it. I really wish I did this during the daytime now, but whatever. Definitely a little bit taller, but it's a really nice plant. And this is the same one that I also repotted the other day in my last video. So I repotted that one as well. But besides that, I've got a couple other smaller plants. They also came from the same friend, actually, who gave me the other plants. This is some type of Hoya. I don't know exactly what it is. I'm going to try to pull it out. I actually just staked it up the other day because it was kind of falling over. In fact, this one I'll probably pull out. So you can see that it's got a nice shape to it. It's just kind of starting out. It's been growing pretty slowly. And then I'm going to put that one on the ground because I'm also going to grab this one. And I don't know the name of this plant. This is an interesting plant because it definitely gets some flowers after a while, but these are really, really tiny plants compared to where they came from, so these will take some time. So they've just been slowly growing, these two plants. I just put them in here. I got a lot of succulents over here because they get so much light. They definitely do the best in this area. So anyways, now the last plant that I have on top of here, this is a orchid cactus, I want to say is the name. It's been a long time since I've looked at it. I really should label my plants. But anyways, this is a really interesting plant, though, no matter what it is. This plant I actually got, if anybody watching has ever been to Disney World in Florida, they have at Epcot, they have like a ride, I think, or something like that, where you can look at, it's basically like touring the greenhouses where they grow a bunch of stuff there. And they have one thing like where you would set up like where you want to, when you want to go on the ride or whatever. You can buy little kits where you can buy like little tiny plants that are in this like gel, I guess. So that's exactly what this plant was. This plant was absolutely puny when I first got it, and it's been doing really, really well since then. Again, I think it's called an orchid cactus, but it grows similar to like a dragon fruit or something like that. Not necessarily like an orchid, but I think it might be called an orchid cactus because it has orchid-like flowers. I want to say that's what it is. But it's been doing really well. It hasn't grown a whole lot this winter, but I think it's just kind of in its dormancy period. So anyways, another really, really great plant. And it's tough too. Even though it like spirals over and everything, it really keeps its shape really well. So now that we've got all this, I'm going to move kind of onto the bottom. We're not really going to pay attention to this because it's basically lost all of its leaves. It still has green right here. This was some type of, I want to say it might be a banana plant that has, it's more like a decorative banana plant. It didn't grow much last year, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's kind of an experiment. Next to it, I have, this is a, I want to say it's a prickly pear cactus. I'm going to move this pot out of the way, and then you can get a better idea of what it actually looks like. And I'm also going to get rid of the ultra wide angle because that's a little crazy to look at. So this is a really cool cactus. It hasn't been doing a whole lot lately. It's got a really nice like shape to it though, from what you can see. And I never even transplanted it out of this black pot. So maybe I'll put it like in a nice terracotta pot. In fact, maybe I'll move this into this pot because this is a pretty nice pot if this ends up dying. So we'll see what happens when springtime comes. But yeah, so this is a really cool plant. Now it is a, it can't survive outside, obviously, because some cactus can. But that's why I have it inside for right now. But it's a really awesome plant, and I'm super excited to see what that's going to look like. The only thing I got nervous about bringing this inside is that my cat likes to kind of forage around the plants, which is not necessarily the best thing, but anyways, so I was a little worried about him coming near this, and he has a couple times, but I think he knows that these are pretty, and like you can see these prickers are big, and they also don't move very easily. Like they'll hurt you. But yeah, he's been good around them. Here I have a kind of a sad banana plant. It's got one leaf on it. Again, some of the stuff, it's not really in the best spot. I've just been trying to limp it along throughout the winter. It does really well in the summer, but then in the winter it doesn't do super well. But I haven't had a whole lot of luck with banana plants. You can see it's lost a couple leaves since the winter time, but I don't know. It's still got some green on it. It's still alive, so we'll see. Underneath there, I have a lemon tree. I'm not even gonna bother with that because I've had that for so long and it's like died and come back so many times. So I guess I don't do super well with citrus, but whatever. And then behind there, these are the cuttings that I took from the plant that was in my bedroom. In fact, I'm gonna grab it and I'll show you because I just cut these maybe like 5 days ago at this point, like less than a week, and you can see it's already filled with roots, and they're just starting out. They'll root in a little bit more, but like basically these are already ready to go. And I'm actually gonna bring these to my dad's because I have another hanging plant of this there that I initially put some cuttings in. I maybe put like 6, but I want to say I have like 8 more in this one, so I'm just gonna try to fill it up a little bit more. So that's everything that's at the bottom. The last thing up here, which is probably my favorite, is this dragon fruit plant. So I started these dragon fruit plants maybe a year ago. No, it's gotta be more than a year ago. Probably like a year and a half ago. All I did was, and maybe I'll make a video on it. That's actually a good idea. So what I did was I like started dragon fruit seeds from just like literally a store-bought dragon fruit, and it took some time, but you can see that it's really filled in well. But the way that dragon fruit likes to grow is kind of like downwards if they're not growing outside and they're not staked up and everything. So I figured putting them in a hanging pot would be the best. And because it gets like bright sun, they seem to do really well right in front of the sliding glass door. And you can see if I go up, I just have them on a hook up here on the wall, and then they hang down from there because it's not a super heavy pot. The only thing I have to be careful about when I water this is there is a drainage hole at the bottom, and I don't have anything like covering the drainage hole, so I just can't water it too much. But again, these are pretty drought tolerant, so they don't mind too much. But you can see it's grown pretty tall, to be honest. Some of these have really, this is only like in the last couple of months that started to grow. But I've had this plant here like since a little bit after we moved in last May, so probably since like July it's been here, and it's really started to cascade down and do super well. And there's even a super long one that's grown down, and it's getting pretty thick as well. But it's just a really cool plant. I absolutely love it. Definitely one of my favorites, and it's a super unique look, especially if I back up a little bit and you can kind of see like the whole thing. You can see that it definitely adds some nice like something to look at, you know what I mean, that's higher instead of just everything down below. I missed this plant before, but this is another one that I have. It's next to our TV, like in the living room. It's not doing super well, but I got this plant, same one that I got from a friend. I got like a bunch of plants at once. But this is it might be a Chinese evergreen. I'm not 100% sure, but it can do well in lower light situations, and it's kind of far from any of the windows. So I just have it here. I just turn it like once a week, but it's doing pretty well. So there's that one as well. All right, now we are in the office, and this is probably the room with the best lighting because we have this bright light in here. But anyways, you can see how dark it's getting outside. So I only have a few plants in here. I used to have some more, but I recently got rid of them just because they weren't doing super well. I had like an aloe plant in here, and yeah, not super great. So this is an interesting pot. This is a really cool experiment that I did. It hasn't been working out super great, but these are all avocado trees, actually. If I show you kind of the bottom of the pot, and I can't get rid of this leaf that fell, must have fallen in the last couple of days. I think I have 8 avocado trees in here, and you can see they're still pretty young. I think I planted them in like July, August, September, something like that. It's been a little while, but not a super long time. I'll give you a better angle so you can see the whole thing. They're doing okay, but there's some plants, like you can see kind of like towards the back, like this one has lost most of its leaves. This one actually lost all of its leaves. And like this one's just starting out, so that one's kind of new. So I definitely struggle quite a bit with avocado trees just because they're very temperamental, and they tend to drop their leaves if they're like slightly inconvenienced. So anyways, oh look, you can see me in the window, hi. Anyways, so it's doing okay. I just try to water as best as I can, but there's definitely a lot in here. And the thing what I was trying to solve with this was that when I would get an avocado plant, I'll show you the one that's downstairs later in the video. The problem with avocados is because they drop their leaves, they can tend to look kind of like scarce, you know what I mean, like this. So I figured if I planted a bunch of them together that it would look a little bit nicer. And from certain angles, it definitely does look pretty nice, but even then, I feel like for having 8 avocado trees in here, it should look a little bit better. My opinion on avocado trees is not the best. It's like a love-hate relationship, but it's okay. I still like them enough where I'll have them in the house. Moving on from that, I have this really, really pretty Dracaena. This is a cool plant, and I'll stand up for it, because I got this from Lowe's, I think, last year. There was 2 plants, actually, and they were on sale because they were, like, kind of dying, I guess. They didn't look the best. I think what happened was there was this Dracaena in a pot by itself, and they're supposed to come, like, with 2 together, and the other one died, so they're like, okay, well, this one's only $5. And then this one, all of its leaves were, you can kind of see how this leaf goes like straight down, and a lot of the other ones kind of go out. So all of its leaves at the beginning were like straight down like that, and I think it's just because it either wasn't watered or wasn't happy, but it came with this smaller one as well. So I was like, well, why don't I just buy both of them for $10, and then I'll put them all in a pot together. So I did that, and you know, I've been a little spotty with the watering sometimes, so they have lost some leaves, but it definitely looks nice how they have like a legitimate like trunk to them. There also is some type of disease going on with it. You can see like the white spots on there, but it's not anything major. I've dealt with that before, so I just have to like take care of it. But it's a nice looking plant. It's a nice tropical plant. And my mom absolutely loves Dracaena, so she really wanted to have this in here. And again, this is a north-facing window, but it still gets a good amount of indirect light, so it's not that bad. And the last thing, which, first of all, let me do this. Also, I have no idea why actually, I do know why. I was trying to make a time-lapse the other day when we got snow. I like to do it from this window because it gives a good angle. It totally failed, but anyways, but yeah, so the charger is just in there. This is a peace lily. There was a second one in here. That's why it looks like it's so off-centered in the pot. The second one died because I went a little while without watering it, which seems to be a common issue that I have. So this one's doing okay. It had a bloom, but it died because, you know, didn't water it. So hopefully it'll do a little bit better, but peace lilies, you got to keep them, like, wet. Not even, like, moist, but, like, honestly wet. Otherwise they don't do well. But, like, honestly, peace lilies, you can even grow them in just water. So maybe I should try that sometime, and that'll keep me, it'll keep it a little bit better, so. All right, and here's the last thing that I wanted to show. This is kind of, like, really sad and embarrassing. So right now I am in my like boiler room. We also have it as like kind of a gym. So anyways, it's like a multi-purpose room. Now, the way that I have it set up in here is this is also on the north side of the house. So it's a north facing window, doesn't get a whole lot of light. And also because we're downstairs, thankfully we have full size windows down here, but it still doesn't let in a lot of light. And you can't really see because it's nighttime right now, but right on the other side of here, there is a bush right here. So it also blocks some of the light coming in. In fact, there's like snow pressed up against the window right now. But anyways, so down here I have another banana plant. I actually just transplanted this into a smaller pot because this used to be a huge plant and then the whole mother plant died. So I just really have not been doing well with banana plants this year. And then this is the other more interesting plant. So this is my avocado tree. It's quite tall, and I have had this tree for probably coming up on 3 years at this point. This is probably about a 3-year-old tree. It's been doing really well, except for this past, I think, December. I ended up going a few weeks without watering it, and I think it was just because I forgot. Something else could have been happening, but whatever. However, I have good news. I noticed today that, I hope my phone can focus on this. Do you see all these little buds? There's one there. Like, there's like probably 10 right here. I haven't really looked in some of these other branches. I'm sure there will be something. Yeah, you know what? There's some buds on there as well. They're a little more brown, not so green, but I can see, at least with my eyes, that they are getting a little bit more green. So I think this will start to leaf out again. And I don't think I showed this. This is a grow light. It's just kind of hanging from the ceiling. Now, I don't have this on a timer, and I really should, so it's actually on 24 hours a day, but this is just a regular grow light. I think I got it from, like, Home Depot or something. It's not, like, the best thing, but it's not super far. There's probably only, like, maybe a foot to a foot and a half from the top of this light to where, like, the plant starts, and then it's not super far from this banana plant either. So they get some light, but they did really, really well outside last summer on the back deck. So I'm definitely going to put them back out there this year. But anyways, we'll see what happens with this. I actually did, in this pot down below, I just repotted this up with, I put some Biotone starter fertilizer in here, kind of to help maybe kickstart it, which I know the Biotone helps more with the root production, and not so much leaf production, but I figured any nutrients I can give it would be better than nothing, because I really haven't fed this either in a long time or ever, to be honest. But you can see the whole thing is still very green. It's still doing pretty well. I think the top of this honestly let me put that into frame. Oh, it's not really focusing. Oh, there we go. It's kind of brown right here. But anyways, behind that, yeah, you can see that pretty well now. There is still a good amount of green, like all the green buds on it. So I have hope for it. I think it's gonna do pretty well. But yeah, so we'll see what happens with it. But anyway, so these are the last two plants that I wanted to show you. All right, so that is part one of the plant tour. Like I said, I still have to record at my dad's house all the different house plants that we have there. I would say there's probably more house plants here than there are at my dad's, but not like a whole lot more. It's pretty even. I've got a good amount there as well. I'm also going to be starting seeds there, so there'll be a little bit more to look at once I get started with those. But yeah, so if you want to take a look at part 2 and anything else I'll be doing in the future, to be honest, go ahead and hit subscribe. But again, don't feel like you have to, because I don't want to pressure people into doing that. So anyways, but yeah, I really hope you liked this video. I hope it was like informational, and just to also show you like where I had stuff, because I don't have a ton of stuff in some of like the northern windows, but definitely in the southern windows, I try to put as much as possible. And to be honest, in this house, there aren't any east or west windows actually, which is, now that I'm thinking about it, kind of weird. But that's just the way that the house is set up. But anyways, yeah, so I'm starting to get my collection going. Maybe I'll get some more stuff. But yeah, so I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.